Hi, I'm Tula Masterman, and I lead our applied AI practice here at Neudesic. And today I'm going to be walking through a demonstration around agentic systems and AI systems as a whole. Today I'm going to be walking through a demonstration around the passenger rebooking use case and also giving insight into how we're thinking about building AI solutions that involve AI agents. The two main things that we're going to cover are around orchestration and memory. So the first thing about orchestration here is we have one agent in this case who could potentially be calling other teams of agents. They could also be calling procedural code, or they could be making calls to traditional AI or ML models. It's really about trying to find the right technology for different parts of the use case. So while agents might play a role in one part of the use case, there might be other pieces of the use case that require procedural code only or traditional AI or ML models only. So for this example, we're going to take a look at a couple of different functions here. We have created this class and it's called the Accommodate Passengers class. And this has access to 3 different functions that our overall agent is going to call. The first function is for getting alternate flights. So based off of the flight that was canceled, we want to look up alternative flights that a user can take. We've kept it pretty simple just for the sake of the demo. So you can see there's a couple flight options that leave today. There's a couple flight options that leave tomorrow. It is able to retrieve all of those. And that includes information about the number of seats that are left for the flight so we can begin rebooking passengers. The second function that's involved is for getting the list of prioritized passengers that were on the canceled flight so we can rebook them in the right order. In this demo here, you see it's just returning a simple list of passengers. There's 50 in this case, but one thing that we could do is actually allow this function to call an entirely different process that handles the passenger rebooking. And we have a separate demonstration about writing with a different artist critic pattern that actually allows you to intelligently create that list of prioritized passengers based off of changing information or changing instructions from an end user. And the third function that we have here is to actually rebook or refund the passenger based off of the list of prioritized passengers that we got back and the available flights. Within this function, it's actually making a call to a separate agent who is solely responsible for doing the reasoning about how to rebook passengers on the flight. So we've added a component of memory to this, and the whole goal of memory is that the agent is able to learn things over time and improve its ability to rebook passengers. So in this example, one thing that we did was we said, okay, if the flights are in October or November, we're going to give it the memory that flights are typically canceled between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. due to weather reasons. And it's a better experience for customers if they don't get rebooked multiple times, and instead they're just booked on the plane that's the most likely to leave. So ideally, we'd want them to leave after 12 p.m. on a flight that's more likely to take off. And if it's any other month, they should just be booked on the earliest possible flight because we want to get them to their destination as soon as possible. So now that we've set up those 3 functions, which could call other agent teams or invoke procedural processes, we can pass those functions to this orchestration agent, is what we've just called the class here, and it's able to call the functions in the right order in order to get the response. And we just are going to go ahead and give it a pretty simple task to start. We tell it that today is October 11th, and due to bad weather forecasts, our flight has been canceled and that we want to rebook the passengers. We're using GPT-4o in this particular example, but this is compatible with a lot of other models as well. Now, we just go ahead and run that code and it comes back with an answer pretty quickly. It usually takes about a minute or so, but you can see here that it is rebooking the passengers, and the earliest flight that it selects is the flight that leaves at 1 p.m., which is great. That's exactly the answer that we were hoping for, even though there was a flight that was leaving at 11. Because it has the memory about October flights being canceled, we didn't want it to book passengers any earlier in the day because they probably would have been rescheduled anyways. So you can see here, it books passengers and it keeps that ordered list that we had for their priority. So we get 5 passengers booked on the first flight, and then we continue to fill up the available seats on other flights until everybody is accommodated. Now, in this particular example, we noticed that there were not enough flights because we had to leave later in the day. So there's a couple of passengers who are noted that they'll need alternative arrangements or they'll need to be refunded because we couldn't accommodate them due to the changing flights. And just to show another example, we'll take the exact same prompt and the only thing that we're going to change is the date. So instead of flying in October, we're going to say that the same flight was canceled in July and then look at the results that we get. So in this example, you'll see that they actually start booking passengers starting on the 11 a.m. flight. And because of that, we're able to get more passengers accommodated and it was able to follow and listen to the memory. So overall, I think this is really exciting because you can see how agents are able to help orchestrate a process and how they're also able to use memory to help with certain pieces of the rebooking process process, so that way it's a much better customer experience overall and they're not constantly getting rebooked. As this rebooking system continues to go, ideally we'd keep building up different sorts of memory across the different functionalities that need to be performed for this process, so that way whether it's information about how we should be rebooking passengers, if there's certain flight patterns that it needs to be privy to, the system is able to adapt over time and get better and better and better at accommodating passengers.